By now, I'm sure you all know that it is now election season. This is the time of the year where politicians come into our neighborhoods and our communities and try to convince us that they're what's best for the black community. Our dear sister Michelle Alexander wrote a wonderful article for thenation.com about why Hillary Clinton in particular does not deserve the black vote, and I couldn't agree more. See, even though people think President Clinton did a lot of wonderful things for the black community, he did some things for the black community that almost destroyed us permanently. Black people have had this crazy love affair with the Clintons for about 25 years. Yes, I know it don't take much to get the black community on your side. And at that particular time, a lot of jobs up north, the manufacturing jobs and the industrial jobs were going overseas. So the black community was hit by this, downturn exceptionally harder than anybody else. See, unemployment in the black community at this particular time was quadruple what it was before. See, President Clinton did a lot of things to the black community that are not to be forgiven. And his wife Hillary Clinton does not get a pass, even though she's now running for the same office. Clinton supported the 100 to 1 sentencing, the crack to cocaine laws, which in turn boosted law enforcement funding, which in turn in the black community caused a lot of young black males who had crack or cocaine to get sentenced to jail time when little white boys were getting slapped on the wrist and getting fined. Yeah, President Clinton supported the 3-strike laws, which means a third-time offender could get life in prison. In 2001, when President Clinton left office, we had the highest population of people in prison in the entire world. Let me say that again. The highest population in prison in the entire world. Not North America, but in the entire world. 80 to 90% of the drug offenses were for African Americans. Drug offenses were 26% higher than they were in 1983. Now, what was the difference between 1983 and the time when President Clinton was in office? One difference. President Clinton was in office, okay? Again, these are one of the things President Clinton did to the black community that are not to be forgiven. I want to remind you of that. Now, in support of the 1994 Crimes Bill, then First Lady Hillary Clinton said, and I quote, "They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kind of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy." That's what the person that's running for president now that wants your black vote said about black kids in 1994. Hillary Clinton. Once again, I said, not to be forgiven. See, now in 2001, the unemployment rate for young black males is at 42%. Now the media and the official numbers at that time said they were lower. But the reason is not because black males weren't looking for jobs, but it was because during President Clinton's tenure in office, so many black males were in prison that they were completely forgotten about, unaccounted for. So, to statistics, these people didn't even exist, okay? President Clinton also put in the 5-year welfare limitation laws. He did that. President Clinton also denied Pell Grants for prisoners. President Clinton also slashed, this is the big number, he also slashed $17 billion from public housing, while at the same time boosting corrections funding by $19 billion. You took $17 billion from public housing and then gave $19 billion to corrections. And then you wonder why so many of us were locked up under his tenure. Okay? Come on, man. More people, African Americans, were locked up under President Clinton than any president in the history of the United States. Okay? President Clinton also made it so where if you had a drug felony, you could not get welfare food stamps. Nor could you be around anybody who had a drug felony if you were getting food stamps. So where were they to go? Besides being homeless. Or besides getting back on the streets, hustling a little more to get something under the table. See, it's all a con game. And don't think for a second that I think Bernie Sanders is any better. He does not get an A for effort. I'm not saying don't vote. I'm not saying vote. I'm just saying the black community has been voting for the lesser of two evils for too long. And that type of thinking has never helped us. That type of thinking has gotten us nowhere. It's time we either start our own political party or demand, before we give them our vote, that they do something for the black community. Demand it. See, we're so afraid of the idea of starting a new political party, that we just feel like we have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Our ancestors died so we could vote, but I also believe they died so we can make the right vote. Don't be no suckers. Don't fall for the con game. We can do this, people. We can do this. Like I said before, Bernie Sanders is also not the answer. Now there's Trump. Now there's Ted Cruz. None of them are. None of them are going to do what needs to be done to bring the black community out of the hole that we're in. None of them. None of them care to do it. They're going to make promises Then when they get in office, they're going to say, oh, when I said minorities, I wasn't talking about black people. I was talking about white women, Hispanics, Italians. That's how they do us. That's how they do us. So let's stop falling for the con game. Let's hit the reset button. We can do this, y'all. Real talk.